It's my brother's birthday today, and he requested a black forest cake, or as we say in German, a Schwarzwaelder Kirschtorte. So that's what I'm going to make in this video. If you have any other recommendations or cakes that you'd like to see me make, or attempt to make, do let me know in the comments. Let's get into it. The first thing we need to make is the actual cake itself. For that we need 6 room temperature eggs. I had mine in a warm water bath for the past 10 minutes, just so that they would warm up. You also need 175 grams of sugar, a pinch of salt, 150 grams of flour, and then 25 grams each of cornstarch, cocoa powder, as well as half a teaspoon of baking powder. The first thing we're going to do is just crack our eggs into a bowl with the sugar and the salt, and we're going to whisk that up for about 15 to 20 minutes or until it triples in size. While the eggs are going to be whisking up, I'm going to be sieving together all of the dry ingredients so that there's no clumps inside of the dough. The eggs are about halfway done whisking and doubling in size. At this point, I'm going to preheat the oven to 200 degrees Celsius, as well as line my tin. Just the bottom though. For reference, the cake tin that I'm using has a diameter of 22 centimeters, but technically the amount of batter that I'm making should be good for a 26 centimeter, which is kind of average. But recently I've been liking cakes that have a little more height, which is why I use a smaller one. Plus, my family can't eat a huge cake like this, so I use this one. It's smaller. It looks cute. So the eggs have pretty much tripled in size. A good way to see if they're done mixing is by using your 2 fingers and rubbing a tiny bit of dough in between your fingers. If you feel any sugar particles or molecules, it means you gotta keep whisking it. As soon as it feels really smooth and silky, that's how you know it's done. So I'm just gonna take as much egg off here as I can, and then I will be folding in all of the flour. First, I'm going to fold in half of the dry ingredients. Before I start folding, I'm going to sieve it through one more time just to make sure it's super, super light and fluffy. It'll just help to keep more air inside of the dough. And again, you want to really take your time with this. Go super slow. Try to keep as much air as you just possibly can. That's pretty good. I'm gonna do the other half. I think I've incorporated everything, but we won't know until I pour it into here. Look at me go. It's like I've done this before or something. Smooth the top out. Perfect. We're going to bake this for 25 to 30 minutes or until you can stick a toothpick into the middle and it comes out clean. While the cake is baking, I'm going to make the Kuchentränke, or the liquid that I'm going to soak the cakes with. For that you need 20 milliliters of water. Yes, it's very difficult to measure out, just eyeball it. And then 20 grams of sugar, and in the end you also need 100 milliliters of Kirsch, which is a cherry liqueur. You can always substitute this for more sugar and water. So in that case you would use 100 milliliters of water and 100 grams of sugar to make your simple syrup. So the first thing we're going to do is just pour the water and the sugar into a pot, and we're going to just bring this to a boil. Once it's boiled, we're just gonna take it off the heat, let it cool down before we add our Kirsch. Because if we add it while it's too hot, all the alcohol is going to vanish, which is not what you want. Wait, can't open it. Oh, I got it. This is boiled once and all the sugar has dissolved. So I'm just gonna let this cool down for about 10 minutes, then add the Kirsch, and then you can just place it in the fridge overnight. The cake is all done baking, so I'm going to just let it cool off overnight and then finish decorating and filling it tomorrow morning before we eat it. It's the next day and we're going to finish the cake today. We're going to start by making the first filling, which is going to be the cherry filling. For that you need 1 glass of sour pitted cherries, 30 grams each of cornstarch and sugar, a pinch of salt, as well as the juice of 1 lemon. We're going to start by draining the cherries. Next we're going to add all of these ingredients into our pot along with the cherry juice and not the cherries. Now we're just going to pour in the cherry juice as well. And I'll just add the cherries into the bowl for later. I'm going to give this one quick whisk and then heat it up on the stove until it's boiling and has thickened. At that point, I'm going to take it off the heat and add the cherries. I'm also going to take out the nicest 12 cherries to decorate the cake with. Technically, you're supposed to use Amarino cherries, those like really bright red ones, but I don't have those, and frankly, I don't think they taste very good. So I'm just gonna use these. Once it's all done, it will look something like this. It'll be nice and thick and clear and have a really nice red color. That's when you know it's done. Now that the cherry juice is nice and thick, I'm just gonna pour it over my cherries. And I'm just gonna give this one stir. I've already prepared an ice bath in a bowl that is bigger than the one with the cherries in it. All you have to do for that is add some ice cubes and some cold water. Now all I'm gonna do is add my cherries right on in there. Give this a mix every now and then, and I'm just gonna put this aside to chill while I prepare the rest of the fillings. The last filling we're going to make for this cake is the whipped cream filling. For that, you need 750 grams of heavy cream, then a splash of vanilla, and 4 teaspoons of sugar-ish, and then 3 packages of Zanafest or Zanesteif or Zanapat. Again, you don't have to use this, it just makes sure the cream stays stiff a little bit longer. If you don't have it, that's fine. Half the time I make it without this. If I do have it, I'll use it. So all we're gonna do is add the cream to our mixing bowl, add everything else into it, and as it's mixing up in the KitchenAid, I'm gonna slowly pour these in. I grabbed the cake that we made yesterday and it's all nice and cooled down. So we're gonna start by removing it from the tin and then cutting it into 3 even layers. If you want more information on how to do this, you can watch my last video. I go into more detail on how to cut the cakes evenly and how to do it the right way. Alright, I'm all done cutting the cakes. So I've got 3 nice layers, which I'm going to set aside. And I've got some extra dough here as well. Now don't go and throw this away. You can make some really nice parfaits by just adding the dough to the bottom, squeezing it down a little bit. You can add some cream or Greek yogurt and layer it up. You can even add some of your cherries that you've made or any other fresh fruit, frozen fruit, and just eat it like that. Or you can make cake pops from it, or just enjoy it as a snack. Yep, it's good. Alright, the whipped cream is done. It's got some nice stiff peaks, which is what you want. You don't want to overmix it, else it'll turn to butter. So as soon as it's kind of like this, you're good. We're going to continue to layer our cake now. I've already gathered all of our stuff. Our simple syrup that we made yesterday, the cut cakes, the cream, and the chilled cherries. First things first, I'm going to add a tiny bit of cream just to the bottom of this so that the cake sticks. Let's see. I'm going to use like one of these, not the top layer. We're going to pipe a border of whipped cream around the outside so that the cherries don't run out. So I'm going to be using just a round piping tip. I'm going to fill this up. Just going to squeeze it down. Try to get some of the air out. Before we start layering the cakes, we're going to brush some of this simple syrup that we made onto the base of our cake. Now you don't want to do too much, else the cakes will be soggy. If that is what you want, then go ahead, do as much as you want. I'm just going to do a little bit everywhere. Now we're going to pipe a border around the outside. Going to fill that with half of our cherries. Now there's a couple different ways that you can layer a Black Forest cake. Some people put all the cherries on the bottom layer and then fill the top layer just with the whipped cream. Today I'm going to do cherries on both layers, but it's totally up to you. Now we're going to add some more whipped cream to the top to close it off. And using small palette knife, I'm going to just spread this out. Now we're going to add our next layer and repeat the same process. Make sure it lines up on the edges. Alright, now we're going to do a crumb coat. So we're just going to start by adding some cream to the top and then covering all of the sides. To decorate the Black Forest cake, you're going to need grated dark chocolate. I'm going to use this, but if you don't have that on hand, you could always grate your own chocolate or chop your own chocolate. For instance, using baker's chocolate, and just either make fine ribbons, which is a nice way to decorate the top, or you can chop it really small into chunks for the outside part. You can do this however you like, and there's so many different ways to decorate a Black Forest cake. You could do it very traditional, or you can do it a little more modern by using a ganache and letting it drip down the side, but it's totally up to you. So I'm gonna grate a bit of this chocolate into ribbons to use on the top, and then I'm going to use this for the sides. Alright, so now we're ready to start decorating. I just had the cake in the garage for the last couple minutes as I was getting the chocolate ready, just so that the cream won't go everywhere while I'm trying to cover the sides with the chocolate. Yeah, so this is the worst part, the most tedious part, because we have to try and get all this chocolate all up the sides of the cake. If you have a turntable that tilts, I highly recommend using it. Keeps things so much easier, plus gravity kind of helps you out. Honestly, I'm kind of scared to use those ones because I think the cake's just gonna slide off. I know it won't, but I'm still scared it is. All right, so now all we're gonna do is take some chocolate, start at the bottom, kind of work your way up. Maybe put on some music because you're gonna be here for a while. And just kind of slightly press it on. And grab some more, and do that all the way around the cake. I want to know what the record is for the fastest time to do this part. I'm sure like actual bakeries have like just like a huge bowl of grated chocolate and then just like roll the cake in it. Oh, I should have done that. Oh, it's too late. I'm already here. I've made like probably like 8 or 9 Black Forest cakes already. And like some of them were like like a bouche de Noël style. And that one's like so much easier because you don't have to cover it in grated chocolate. But when I first started making these, oh my gosh, they looked horrible, like really bad. So I think I've come a long way. I'm gonna see if I can find some pictures of my old ones because they're pretty embarrassing. It took me a couple years to like actually get good at making them. If there's any gaps, I'm just gonna try to fill them a little bit. Now that the sides are all done, I'm going to transfer it onto a nicer tray. This is so scary. Okay, now I'm going to add the chocolate ribbons, kind of just in the center of the cake, and leave about an inch along the outside that's gonna have no chocolate. Alternatively, you can add more of these chocolate shavings all over the top and then make little divots with a hole where you're gonna add your little rosettes. If you don't get rid of the chocolate shavings where you wanna put the rosettes, they can fall off because they have nothing to stick to. So you just wanna use a spoon and make a little hole or get rid of the chocolate. The last thing we have to do is pipe our rosettes onto the cake. I'm going to pipe on 12 rosettes using the star tip. Since I saved 12 cherries, that works out. And then the cake is done.